Hello and welcome to Suncorp Stadium. I'm Lucy Zelich, and joining me tonight here is David Bashir, commentator for SBS, on the back of the very successful Brisbane Roar 3-1 win against the Wanderers. Dave, your thoughts on the match?
It was a brilliant contest, a brilliant spectacle, but I think for Tony Popovic, he'll probably be scratching his head saying, how do we get ourselves in that situation? They were all over Brisbane in the second half, albeit they conceded the first ever goal in their first 20 minutes of A-League football. Very unusual match in that respect, but Brisbane looked like they ran out of steam after they scored those two goals. They sat back, very un-Brisbane-like posture. We saw Mike Mulvey at the break very annoyed at his players at the posture they set and the opportunities they allowed Western Sydney. Second half could have gone either way, because if the Wanderers took their chance and Yeboah's strike did not sizzle the net, it may have been a different story, but Kwame Yeboah, what an exciting prospect he is.
Doesn't need to touch the ball too much to make an impact. But talking about Ivan Franjic now, his 100th game for the Brisbane Roar. He's just come off the back of a very successful Socceroos campaign against Costa Rica and scored tonight also. But it's funny because he used to play in a defensive role. Could you say that attacking suits his style a lot better?
Absolutely. His appetite's insatiable. He's had more shots on target than any player in the A-League this season, and we saw the quality of his strike in the first half. Brilliant. I think he's got those instincts, and those instincts have been brought out by Mike Mulvey. He's got that confidence of international football. Remember, when he played his 5 previous caps for Australia, they were in that secondary East Asian tournament. He's played with the big boys now. He's got that confidence and that real swagger about his game now, and I think it's going to be an outstanding season for him.
It's too early to say perhaps that this sets the standard for the rest of the season, but are the Brisbane Roar the team to beat now? Do you think that teams will be fearing them across the competition?
Well, I don't think Mike Mulvey will be that happy with the performance, Lucy. You know, he's one of these guys that even when he beat Melbourne Heart the other week, he berated his players for a lack of structure and a lack of discipline in certain areas, and I think it'll be a similar theme. They took their foot off the pedal and they really struggled to deal with Western Sydney's pressing in the second half, and I reckon that's going to be a focus. At their best, they're a prodigious attacking team, and we know Bessart Berisha was coming back from 4 weeks on the sidelines, so he's going to be better. Yeboah's going to get better as the season goes on. So yes, at their best they'll be very, very hard to beat, but there's going to be teams queuing up behind them saying that they're not unbeatable if we can put that type of pressure on them.
A lot of talks about Bessart Berisha coming back into the side. He did manage to score in the 5th minute. He's certainly very hungry to come back. But is he also one of those players that provides a lot of confidence to players on the pitch, apart from being just as effective?
Yeah, he does, because he makes those runs. He's got the ability to hold the ball up. Enrique plays well off him. Thomas Broich tends to feed off him as well. So he brings other players into... And I just think his goal-scoring presence, the fact that he's such a marksman, draws defenders away from spaces otherwise occupied by Brisbane. So from that point of view, he's a big asset to have him back.
Tony Popovic did say post-match that even though they did dominate in the second half, it was unfortunately something they couldn't be rewarded for. But what is there for them to work on? Well,
I think the fact that Yusuf Hersey is such a huge member of their team. He's the player that can unlock a defence, but by getting into those spaces. And Shannon Cole had a very good first half, but he hasn't got that electric pace to get past players. So Hersey's a different proposition. Tom Murich, we know his quality and his goal-scoring finesse. Santalab hasn't got those type of qualities. He's a good player, but certainly not in the Tom Murich class. So I think with those two players back, they're going to be very, very hard to beat. We know that Michael Beecham's not even in the matchday squad. He travelled with the team, so...
Certainly hanging in the air, that one.
Watch the space, do you reckon, Lucy, or what?
I think so. Tony Popovic has said that he's cleared the air on that one, so there's not too much more to discuss, but still a little bit perplexing that he's not included in the side bash. But finally, where to for the Brisbane Roar from here? I mean, like I said earlier, this is the team to beat now.
They are, but I think they're a work in progress for Mike Mulvey. I really do. You know, I think he set...
Difficult to see, though, how they can still, after such a successful performance, have something to criticise, though, right?
You know, I just think he's that type of coach, and I'm looking at it from maybe an exceptional standpoint, because I know they've got the players to produce a quality of football they did in the first half, or 20 minutes of the first half. They didn't do that for the full 90. They weren't expected against this opposition to do it, but I reckon he would have expected perhaps 40 to 50 minutes of that type of quality in the match. He didn't get it. They got the right result, and they're top of the table.
Safe to say we'll see both of these teams at the business end of the season, though?
And no doubt, no doubt.
David Bashir, thank you so much for joining me.